But I want to touch on Kevin Dillon, Johnny Drama himself.
Yeah.
All right. Fan favorite, right? He drives the show, but everyone drives their show in their own way. I think everybody has a favorite. Drama obviously is massive because everyone can relate to him and or laugh at him with him.
Yeah.
Because he's just a man. He seems like the same guy though on the podcast. No?
You know what?
He fights it too. He's like, I'm not the same guy. But I feel like there's a lot of similarities. Not that, again, the ups and downs that Drama had, but
yeah. You know,
he seems like the same guy.
It's hard to differentiate what the differences are, but there are differences.
Yeah.
He's not an egotistical, obsessed with the business guy. He's actually, in fact, the opposite. I mean, I think Kevin's career, if he was like that guy, that desperate, it would be even more successful. I think he just is what he is. Like what you hear on the podcast is the guy. He is just American made, driving a Camaro, driving a Ford. And he doesn't put on anything. And, we talk about a bunch of this stuff on the podcast. He's got all these really famous friends, but he doesn't name drop. So he'll be like, oh, I was out with,
Chuck.
Charlie or whatever. Yeah. And for whatever reason,
that's Charlie Sheen, everybody. Yeah.
Whatever reason, I kind of wrote it like that in the show without really knowing how Kevin does it. But I guess what Johnny Drama really has, Kevin doesn't have those insecurities and that desperate need for attention that Johnny Drama has. But obviously there are some similarities. And, I think usually when I'm casting something, I'm rather than looking for like Daniel Day-Lewis types of guys who can do anything, I'm looking for a little bit guys who embody those characters. And of course he's got some of that and he's got that New York energy. And, but he really is such an amazing actor because people just think like those are their choices. You wouldn't sit with Kevin Dillon and feel sorry for him, but you look at Johnny Drama and anything he fucking does, you're like, please, somebody help this poor guy. You know what I mean?
Give him a hug. Somebody give this guy a hug, man.
But he's awesome. He just is really an awesome, and he's a great guy as well. So
today on the podcast, I was listening and he's like, wait, you can rate, you can leave a rating on a show, or you can leave. I was like, wow, that just shows you Kevin. Like he's true. Like he talks about he's old school, which is so refreshing. In a world we live in today, he's like, I gotta drive 2 hours into the show, and like it's like, wait, aren't you retired? Like he's not retired, but like this would be cool. Like for you, this has got to be a relief through COVID. Like I get to be with my buddies still. I get to do something other than the same thing every day.
Oh, honestly, it's been great for me. I have no idea how Dylan feels about it, but it's become this bit that Malibu, which again, I put in the show before he ever lived in Malibu. He didn't live in Malibu when I was writing on the show how much the drive to Malibu was such a horror for him. But the truth is, it takes me 20 minutes to get to the podcast studio. It takes Kevin Dillon 40 minutes. You would think he's coming from Florida. I mean, every day it's like a story and this and that, but it just works for him. And you can never get mad at him because he's so sincere and he is so old school. He was like the last guy I know to use a cell phone. He barely texts. When we were sending scripts, when he did move to Malibu towards the end of the show, the internet had come out. People got a script by email. The old days of having to drive to every actor's house and hand them a script were gone, except for Kevin Dillon. So it'd be like, when I made changes at midnight, someone would have to go drive to deep Malibu to give it to Kevin Dillon. But it wasn't because he's a pain in the ass. It was because he's just not into that shit. He doesn't care about new technology or anything,
And he produces, right? He's just an unreal actor. So it doesn't even matter in a way. Like I forget who said this. I think somebody in my football travels, a coach said the plane only, they say the plane waits for nobody, right? On an away game. And so one of the coaches said, that's not true. It waits for about 5 or 6 people. So
True.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady's a little late, or Teddy Bridgewater's a little late to the plane. Not that they are. The plane's waiting for Teddy.
I say to Kevin Connolly, I said, Dylan's our home run hitter. Like he can show up. He can be mad that there was traffic. He could not have watched the episode that we're going to talk about or whatever. And just one word comes out of his mouth. Even if I'm mad at him, you can't be mad at him because he's very authentic and just, he's fucking funny,
He's unreal. Like I'm I always say I will meet him one day. I don't know when that will be, but we'll connect when we get out to LA. And I'd love to meet Kev. But you're like, hey, we may not even meet him because he just does his own thing. Like you can't set a plan, you can't set a schedule. When he did the show and he just left you guys, and you're like, I didn't even, your friend, like if I was doing a show with you guys, I send you a text, listen, I can't, I have a workout in Florida, I can't do the show. He just rolled to Atlanta, and you got an email from his people, hey, he can't make it. Can you tell that story?
I mean, that's just, again, it's sort of, I can't even say that's him because I don't even know that I spoke to his representatives in 20 years, but all of a sudden it was just like, he was gone, you know? And I think Kevin looks at the podcast, which is fine, just as like, oh, it's a fun thing. And fortunately it's working. All of a sudden we're making some money on it and blah, blah, blah. And now he's like, wait, is this a job, you know, or what is it? So
He doesn't even know what a podcast is. He probably doesn't even really grasp it. Cause does he even have an iPhone? I'm sure he has to, but
he now has an iPhone, but still, I mean, posting on Instagram is challenging for him and returning text messages. But again, like I say, it's all just, there's no malice behind anything he does. And I think part of his charm is that he probably did not know what a podcast was when we started.